Hello, dear students. Welcome to English class. Today we will do chapter number 7 of your book Beehive. Name of the chapter is Packing. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed first part of this chapter in which the narrator Zaram and his friends had decided to go for a picnic. Before going for the picnic, they were packing the luggages and other eatables before night, and the narrator wanted to observe the job of packing, but instead of this, he got whole the task of packing by his friends, and that made him irritating enough that ultimately he became angry, but he could not say anything to his friends. Let us read what is the next part of this chapter. And then it was George's turn, and he trod on the butter. He didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. I felt that it made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them, and then couldn't find them when they wanted them, and they packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. So when the George's turn came to pack the hampers, in that he just trod on the butter, means he disturbed the butter. I didn't say anything, means the narrator did not say anything, but he just sat on the edge of the table and watched everything. This also irritated them more than anything, means here George and Harris got irritated while seeing the narrator sitting relaxed on the table. Then they got very much nervous and excited, and they stepped on the things which were eatables, and sometimes they put the things behind them, sometimes they could not find them when they wanted them. And one thing they did which was very humorous, that they packed the pies at the bottom, and on the pies they put some heavy things. Because of this, all the pies got smashed. They upset salt over everything, and as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. After George had got it off his sleeper, they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair, and Harry sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking for it all over the room. So during the packing, they upset the salt everywhere. Means the salt was spread out everywhere in the things, and the butter also became a cause of irritation for both of them and disturbance for both of them. The narrator says that he had never seen in his life two men worried for just 1 or 2 pence worth of butter. Actually, George got off his sleeper, and they tried to put it in the kettle, but they could not find out the butter anywhere. Ultimately, he found the butter under the sleeper. They scraped it from the sleeper and put it on a chair, and on the other side, Harris sat on the butter, and it stuck to him. Then both of them were worried where the butter was actually. I'll take my oath. I put it down on the chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. I saw you did it myself. Not a minute ago, said Harris. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George get round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. Where? Cried Harris, spinning round. Stand still, can't you? roared George, flying over him, and they got it off and packed it in the teapot. So during the searching of the butter, they searched it everywhere on the chair and everywhere in the room. They started looking around the room, taking the round of the room. They came again and again before each other, but they could not find out the butter. The most extraordinary thing I have ever heard of. George, George said that it was the most extraordinary thing that the butter could be invisible. And Harris also added that it was so mysterious when the butter was kept on the table, on the chair, how it could be missing from there. Suddenly, George pointed out the butter on the backside of Harris, which Harris could not come to know. Then Harris cried where it was. Then George said, "Still stand. You can't see it." By saying that, George, flying after him, he just came before, he just came at his backside and then got it off from there. It was on the trouser of the Harris, and then packed the butter in the teapot. Montmorency was in it all, of course, Montmorency's ambition in life to get in the way and be sworn at. If he can square him in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted, and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted to get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he was succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. So Montmorency, who was the pet dog of the friends, he was such a an irritating creature that he usually poked his nose into others' matter. When in a day he made others irritating enough that they definitely would beat Montmorency, then it seemed that Montmorency's day was fruitful. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed, and he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam, and he worried the teaspoons, and he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed three of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. So Montmorency came and sat down on the things, whatever they wanted to pack. On the things he specially came and sat down. And then he labored under the fixed belief that Montmorency had the belief that whenever and Harris reached out their hands for anything, so whenever Harris and George spreaded their hand to get anything to be packed, then Montmorency's cold damp nose came into their hands, and he put his leg into the jam, and he worried the teaspoons, means he disturbed the teaspoons also, and he pretended that the lemons were rat. So lemons, which were to be packed in the hampers, Montmorency thought that they were rats and got into the hampers, and he jumped into the hampers to get them out and killed three of them, means he spoiled three lemons from them. And then Harris came before him with a frying pan and hit him hardly. Then only they could get rid of Montmorency during the packing. Harris said, "I encouraged him." "I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's the natural original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that." So Harris accepted that he pampered Montmorency a lot, which he should not do, because it is an animal and it is its nature to destroy the things. The packing was done at 12:50 at night, and Harry sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night and we went upstairs. So when at the night 12:50 the task of packing was over, then Harris hoped that nothing would be found again, but George told him carelessly, if something is found broken, that it should get it, or it was broken at all, because now he was not having enough energy to find out the things or to pack the things again. Now both of the friends wanted to go to bed. We tossed for bed, and Harris had to sleep with me. He said, do you prefer the inside or the outside? Zay means Zeram. So when they tossed for the bed, it was came to know that Zeram and Harris would go and sleep in the bed. Harris asked whether he would like to sleep inside or outside. I said I generally prefer to sleep inside the bed. Harry said it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Harry said 7. I said no, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. So when George asked them then on which time in the morning they would like to wake up, Harry said on 7, but the narrator said no, on 6, because he had to write some letters. Harris and I have a bit of a row over it, means they were having some argument over this, but at last it came to the uh, result that George would make them wake up at 6:30. So George said, okay, I will get you wake up at 6:30 sharp. In this way, George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning, and went to bed ourselves. So George did not give any answer anymore. He went to go to sleep, and then so we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning. So both of the friends went into the washroom, and they tried to get the bath there, because they knew that when in the morning George would get up, he would not let them to take bath properly. After this, they also went to bed for sleeping. So I hope you have understood the chapter of packing. In this chapter, we have come to know that actually packing is not everybody's cup of tea. It is not very easy, or you can say it is an art in which one has to get expert after thinking many things in mind before packing. Only then the task of packing can be fruitful, and on the journey we can feel somewhat relaxed. Thank you and have a nice day.